Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite styles of fragrances, and that is going to be tea fragrances. Tea fragrances are great at potentially altering mood, being very calming. They can be very cooling. They can just be simply delicious. They can definitely garner attention, positive attention, and just a little show and tell for today. I'm not the biggest tea drinker, but I do enjoy the smell of teas. And just to show you that I, got a few here. Got black tea here used for making iced tea. And by the way, tea is one of the best ways to kind of just get your notes on maybe a lot of florals. Florals can often be in tea. This is chamomile twist herbal tea. It's got chamomile flower and a bunch of other stuff in it. What else have we got in here? Oh, by the way, you can just get raw lavender, throw it in tea, and add that cool, calming effect that lavender can have. Hibiscus flower, there's a, hibiscus mahajad or whatever it is, very popular tea fragrance on the market. Coconut oolong, okay, that one's probably not the best because the coconut flavoring in here is artificial, but you get the oolong effect. Anyway, I got plenty of other stuff in here. I'm not going to show all of it, but my point is, I like to compare the smells of these teas in their raw forms, and if they're listed as notes in these fragrances, it's really exciting for me. Just one of the ways you can just kind of get your nose on the raw material and transfer it to what you experience with fragrances. Spices are probably the easiest thing to do that with. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've got 8 fragrances here that feature either tea as the main accord, or tea is used as a supporting actor for the fragrances. So not all of these are strictly tea fragrances, but they all do have tea in them as a listed note or accord. So before we get started, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do like the content, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, first up, we're gonna start off with one from the House of Nishane, probably one of the most well-known tea fragrances on the market within the community. It's gonna be Wulong Cha. Nishane Wulong Cha. Now, absolutely outstanding tea fragrance. So the featured tea accord in this is oolong tea, which if you've ever smelled oolong tea on its own, it's actually quite earthy and leafy, and frankly by itself probably wouldn't make a good fragrance, which is why they added a lot of orange and citrus to this. They added a little bit of fig, I believe, to maybe add a little bit of a texturally creamy facet to it. This fragrance is amazing, definitely crowd pleasing. This one in particular is definitely going to be suited towards the warmer weather. Amazing tea scent. I definitely get a bright and uplifting nature from it with the citruses, the way they're used in this, and then the tea has this overall calming effect. And the great thing about this fragrance is, at least for me at least, it lasts all day long. So if you need that to kind of get you through your day, this is a good one to do it. Amazing scent. And yeah, you can kind of pick up the earthiness from the tea, but it's really overshadowed with a lot of the other more pleasant overall notes to make this fragrance what it is. Once again, from the House of Nishane, this is Wulong Cha. All right, guys, next one's coming from the House of Mason Francis Kirk John. This is going to be Aqua Media Cologne Forte. Mason Francis Kirk John, Aqua Media Cologne Forte. So this one is also a tea-centered fragrance, also pretty much centered for the warmer months, if you will. There's some citrus featured in this one as well, mainly kind of a lime flavoring. This one's a little bit more green overall, and that's because the featured tea note in this is matcha tea. Matcha tea is a form of green tea. I can't remember what the exact difference in terms of how it's made. It's just been a while since I looked it up. I used to have matcha tea in the house, but I found it to be a little too strong for me in terms of the reaction I would have when I drank it. I probably just drank too much, but that's neither here nor there. I do find it from a smell standpoint to be, from what I remember, a little bit more green and a little bit more intense than your traditional green tea, that being a little bit more earthy overall. And I kind of get this fragrance is mostly green in terms of the characteristic outside of the tea and the citrus. There's also some fennel in this to push that green nature forward, and then you got a lot of musk in this fragrance as well. But yeah, this is matcha tea centered. Also, you get that calming effect. Smells really good. I think it's great for attention as well if you're looking to get compliments, so to speak. This one definitely can get you some positive attention. It's just overall pleasant smelling, calming, definitely unisex up and down the middle. And like I said, I think it's best for the warmer months, but you can wear it whenever you want. Once again, from the House of Mason Francis Kirk John, this is Aqua Media Cologne Forte. Next one's coming from the house of Wulong Cha. This is going to be Montabaco Intensivo. Wulong Cha, Montabaco Intensivo. Now, this one is not a tea-centered fragrance. It's also not necessarily for the warmer months. This one's actually a little more year-round, so that kind of doesn't really matter with this one. But this is primarily a tobacco fragrance, but it does feature a tea accord in it. As far as the notes go, it doesn't necessarily say what kind of tea. If I had to guess, it's probably a black tea, but this is a cooling, kind of airy fragrance, has some cooling spice, juniper, also obviously tobacco, some dried woods, but the tea is definitely a supporting actor in this fragrance and definitely plays a role in how this fragrance comes across. I would say the tea is maybe a little bit more textural with this fragrance. It kind of adds to that cool, ozonic cooling feel, kind of chilled air feel that this fragrance has, and maybe adds a little bit of a texture to it, a little bit of a green feeling to it. That's kind of the way I would best describe the tea in terms of how I experience it in this fragrance. But yeah, tea not centered for this fragrance, but definitely plays an important role and an amazing scent as well. Once again, from the house of Wulong Cha, this is Montabaco Intensivo. Next up, from the house of Parfum de Empire, this is Ambre Russe. Parfum de Empire, Ambre Russe. Now, if you haven't guessed already, this is also not a tea-centered fragrance. This is an amber fragrance. Pretty much done in the style of Ambre Russe. Kind of taking the same amber style from that, the traditional amber style, if you will, but going in a different direction in terms of how it's supported. I find Ambre Russe to be more powdery. I did get a sample of it. It broke, but I could smell it in the bag, so I still got to experience it at least. But yeah, this one here, more green, maybe a little bit more spicy overall. Get kind of a cumin feel in this. I think there's a little bit of leatheriness in this as well. Can't remember if there's tobacco in it. I don't think there is, but there is tea in this as well, and you definitely can pick it up. And I would say what the tea is adding, it's adding kind of a textural feel to this one as well, similar to Montabaco Intensivo. You can definitely smell it. You can definitely get this kind of leafy, calming feel from this amber heavy fragrance. It's an interesting dynamic, very much so. Definitely more centered for the cooler months in my opinion. This one has a little bit of weight to it. I wouldn't necessarily go for this immediately for the warmer temps. That's just me. But yeah, I feel if this did not have the tea accord that is in here, it would just come across completely different. If I had to guess, probably a black tea. They just say tea as the listed note, doesn't say if it's a particular type of tea. Once again, from the house of Parfum de Empire, this is Ambre Russe. Next up, from the house of Guerlain, this is L'Instant de Guerlain. This is Eau de Parfum. Guerlain, L'Instant de Guerlain Eau de Parfum. So this one is, at least to my nose, it is a tea fragrance. I don't know if anybody would debate that. I mean, you know, but I think it's a tea fragrance. You could say it's a little bit of an earthy, kind of chocolatey feeling tea fragrance. Has a bit of a spicy edge. To my nose, it kind of reminds me of chai tea. I could be wrong, but that's just what it reminds me of. Since the first time I smelled it, you've got like anise spice in here. There's some lemon-like citrus off the top, and you've definitely got like cacao and patchouli mixing with the tea. I don't remember this having a specifically listed tea. I think it just has that tea feel overall. Like I said, it reminds me of chai tea. It doesn't say chai tea as a note. That's just what it reminds me of. And this one is a beautiful fragrance in my opinion. Maybe not necessarily going to be the most compliment garnering, definitely more situational with this fragrance, you know, maybe like a nice evening out in particular. You could wear this on warmer temperatures, but probably would save it for the evening. But overall, I think it's mostly going to be a cool weather fragrance, but definitely a tea center fragrance in my opinion. You can't deny that. If you took the tea accords out of this, it would be completely different. I don't know what it would be. It definitely wouldn't be L'Instant de Guerlain. So once again, from the house of Guerlain, this is L'Instant de Guerlain Eau de Parfum. All right, next one's coming from the house of Creed, and we have got Silver Mountain Water. Creed Silver Mountain Water. Now, when you talk about cooling and calming, this fragrance definitely has that. Oh man, I know this is not everybody's jam because of what they perceive to be as the inky smell, but I know for me, this is a love. I would say the tea in this, I don't know, maybe black tea. If there is a specific tea, I can't remember. I'm not looking at the notes as I shoot this. But yeah, definitely cooling, very ozonic notes in this. A lot of musk for sure, a little bit of citrus. That's the overall vibe I get with this fragrance. Definitely just makes me think like a cool, crisp environment, yet the fragrance is ideal for wearing in warmer temperatures. So you kind of have that yin and yang contrast dynamic going on with this fragrance. But this is a lovely tea fragrance for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if it has a specific tea listed. It might just be black tea. This one obviously has spawned clones and iterations of it. Primarily probably get rid of that, what is perceived to be the inky smell. I know, what is it? Armaf Siage kind of took that into account, but frankly, I love the original. So once again, from the House of Creed, this is Silver Mountain Water. All right, next one's coming from the House of BDK Parfums. This is Gris Charnel Extrait. BDK Parfums, Gris Charnel Extrait. Now, this is not a tea fragrance also. This is going to be a creamy, vanilla heavy, fig, spicy sandalwood fragrance overall. And I'll be honest, I didn't really notice the tea accords in this at first. I saw that it had black tea as a note. I always kind of noticed that, but I didn't really feel like I could smell it until I actually picked up this right here. This bag of black tea, which is just iced tea, but it's black tea, basically. Smelled it, kind of internalized it, and then picked this up and smelled it, and I could pick it up. So black tea plays a role in this fragrance. I would say out of all the fragrances I've talked about, though, in terms of the tea accords, this one probably takes the back seat the most, but it is in there. You can detect it, particularly if you smell black tea and then smell this. You're gonna pick up on similar characteristics of that black tea being in this fragrance. But yeah, this one, more so of a fig, cardamom, and sandalwood and vanilla fragrance, but I do think that the black tea plays an important role as to how this comes across. Again, maybe more of a feel than the smell overall, just adding to that calming effect that this fragrance has. This one is cozy and calming at the same time. Once again, from the House of BDK Parfums, we've got Gris Charnel Extrait. All right, and last but not least, from the House of Montclair, this is La Cordee. Montclair, La Cordee. So this one is definitely a tea fragrance. Well, actually it's a cypress fragrance, but there's only 3 listed notes in this, and the fragrance is very simple. Pretty much smells like black tea with a little bit of like lemon and peppermint in it. Their official notes in this is bergamot, black tea, and cypress. Cypress, I feel, can kind of have a little bit of a peppermint feel to it slightly. More so, it's kind of woody and green and dry overall. And the bergamot, that can come off across as a number of different ways in terms of citrus, usually a little bit more lime-centered. But the way all of these 3 ingredients, or at least the 3 listed notes, come together, wonderful tea fragrance. Overall, I would say suited more so to warmer weather, but you could kind of wear it all year round, actually, particularly, for certain just kind of grab and go scenarios. This is definitely my favorite grab and go tea fragrance I have in my cabinet. As a result, it's getting a lot of wears since I have picked it up. Wonderful tea fragrance for sure. Once again, from the House of Montclair, this is La Cordee. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Hey, let me know down in the comments below, are you a fan of tea fragrances? And if you are, what are some of your favorite tea fragrances? Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. So thanks again for watching all the way into the end. Really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.